Why don't we kick it off with you, Hugh, and work our way down?
Hello, I'm Hugh Samuel. I am a producer, writer, director, filmmaker, online creator. I'm a bit of everything, I guess. That's probably the best intro, isn't it?
That's a brilliant intro. Everyone, was that a good intro?
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
Right.
Good. All right, yeah, we've got a hot crowd tonight. I like this one. All right, cool. Yeah, work our way down, yeah.
I'm Johanna. I am an actress, comedian, and I guess filmmaker now. Yeah, that's what I do.
Brilliant, brilliant. Alex?
And I'm Alex Manzi. I'm going to try and add a few comma things in here, right? So, social media person at the BBC, podcaster, video maker, I guess, on Instagram, which is probably not as as impressive as these guys. That's it.
Brilliant, man, brilliant. Well, why don't we get started with a bit about getting to know you guys and how you found yourselves here. Don't say how you got here. Don't say train, please, because that's a bit of a bait one. But yeah, so how did you find yourselves here? How did you get onto the stage at the BFI being an expert panel, and where did you come from?
For me personally, it was a case of kind of an accident. Like, I always knew I wanted to work in film. I always knew I wanted to work in media of some sorts, and I did media at college. I did a media production course at university. I didn't feel like I learned everything I should have learned or needed to learn. Everything I did learn that was useful was in my own time, and university gave me those 3 years of free time to experiment and try things and develop a show real slowly and learn. I ended up doing music videos because I was always told growing up that, you need to get your foot in the door, and that's how you get in. And I don't think that's very true anymore. I think these days it's a case of, with new technologies and things, you can put yourself out there in front of the right people without necessarily having to be in the door. A lot of people look to online now for new talents and things. So it was a case of me doing online videos in my spare time because I was working on things that I really did not enjoy, like garden furniture adverts. And then over time, the social media things developed a small audience, and eventually it was actually the BBC who were the first people to commission me with something, and it was a very easy choice for me to choose something with the BBC online to an audience that already enjoy what I like, as opposed to a garden furniture advert on TV, which is mind-numbing.
Yeah, something and then, a bit more down your street.
I just kept going and learning, and now here I am.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. I went to drama school and had like massive dreams of being on Downton Abbey and everything. And so I left drama school and I found it really hard. The jobs were like months in between. I get little TV things and lots of music videos and lots of stuff like that. And I also kept getting cast in things that I didn't really want to play.
Right.
It'd be like, oh, you're going to be playing the like sexy lady in the music video. I was like, oh, I'm really uninterested in playing that. So then I just started. No, I met an agent actually who challenged me. He met me and was like, I'm going to be really honest with you. There are thousands of girls that look like you and want to make it to Hollywood and all this sort of stuff. And he was like, to be honest, you have that much of a chance. I was like, okay, thank you. But he goes, but meeting you, like, you're really funny. And he was like, have you thought about being a comedian? Because there are less girls doing comedy than anything. He was like, I think you have a real shot. So he kind of challenged me. He was like, go away, and see if you can get a following. Like, make some comedy, rebrand yourself as a comedian. If you're brave enough, do some stand-up. And so I was like, challenge accepted. And I went away, and I happened to have worked on a comedy DVD with one of our friends called Dapper Laughs, and he had always said to me, you're funny, if you ever want any help or anything, I'll help you. So I went to Dan and was like, how do you do this social media thing with like the Snapchat stuff? So he taught me kind of
the angles.
What to do. And at first I didn't really like social media. Like, I never took selfies. I was always the one taking pictures of like your food or your cat or something. I never like turned the camera around, and it took ages to be comfortable with like vlogging and doing it that way. And it just kind of like took off. I started doing some silly sketches of what I found funny, put them out there. As you know, my first ever sketch, I put it on Facebook as an accident. So I was talking with my friend. And
you did.
Yeah. I was saying how my mum had always wanted me to bring home a black boyfriend. And I was like, Mum, you can't like say that. Like, that's not a thing you can do. And I was speaking to my friend TJ about it, and he was like, that's so hilarious. Let's make that sketch. And TJ was back, so I was like, let's do this. So we filmed a sketch like in my living room. We didn't know how to hold cameras. My brother was holding the boom. I think my mum was like behind the camera. It was like really, really shoddy. And we filmed the sketch, edited it. It was 4.5 minutes long, which is way too long really for an internet sketch to do well. And I put it on YouTube, didn't do anything. I put it on Facebook just in case I lost my laptop, because I thought it'll be in the cloud. Nothing ever dies on Facebook. You can't even delete your Facebook, it won't let you. So I put it on Facebook, and then about a week later, TJ rang me and was like, it's got 100 views. I was like, what? And I looked, I was like, no, TJ's got 200 views. 1,000, 2,000, 100,000, 200,000. And it like organically, just from people tagging their friends, being like, this is me, this is when I met your mum, and this is... and then people being like, well, when's the next one? So it kind of just was like, all right.
So then, yeah, you kind of fell into it.
So then just, every week making sketches.
That's brilliant.
Nice. Alex? So I don't actually work in film and stuff like that. These guys, I work at One Extra, which is obviously a music station. So my background was, I was a blogger.
Yeah.
Me and my mates started a music blog in 2010. So when blogging was like the thing, before everyone made it the thing.
You did it before it was cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. But yeah, we were doing it. We just basically we wanted to make a blog where we could share the music we liked.
Yeah.
And similar to what Johanna was just saying, I remember the day where we first got 100 views on the blog on one post, and we were like, man, 100 views. And then at our peak, we were getting like 2,000 views per day, not per day, per post per day, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then slowly, the cool internet music websites caught up and started hiring bloggers to blog for them. So they kind of caught up the music that we were getting on first. And so I ended up working in marketing and advertising for about 3-4 years. And then the job at One Extra came up, which is where I am now. And it was a social media role. I'm very much into that music scene, which is what we blogged about. And basically went in for an interview after applying and just told them what I thought they were bad at, what I thought they could improve on, what I think I could bring to the table.
Cutting the fat.
Exactly. Yeah. I left it all on the table, basically. So like, this is what I can do, take it or leave it. And they hired me as their social media expert, and I was like, shit. Can I swear? Sorry. And I was like, damn.
Can we swear? I don't know.
It's youngsters, and damn. I don't think I actually know what I'm doing with social media. But then I kind of realised everything I'd done with our blog was through social media and promoting it. And we used to run a club night and promote that as well online. So everything we did and always did do was through those channels. So I just brought that in to an account that had 500,000 followers rather than 2,000.
Yeah. So you winged it, but you had the experience anyway, so it all worked out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's brilliant. So what I guess we're all interested in, I know I am, and I'm sure many people in the audience are as well, it's about how to use our social media to benefit ourselves in the film career. So I guess we can break that down into 3 points, and those are this. How do you get noticed, build a platform, and then use that platform to get paid? So it's a bit meaty, so I guess anyone who wants to jump in can.
I'll jump in first because these guys probably have a lot more relevant stuff. But funnily enough, I was thinking about this in my head on the way here, and I came up with 3 very similar brackets. So I always see things as like, what is your content? So what is the content you want to make, or you are making, or you are creating, what you're interested in? B, what's your story? So what story are you telling around that content? And then the final part is the engagement element. Right. How are you engaging with other brands, other accounts, other people? How are you engaging with the people who then are replying and commenting on your posts? So like looking at those 3 strands and going, right, I'm into comedy, so this is my content. So the story I'm going to tell is the things that happen in my life in a comedic way. And then around that, once people are commenting on your post and sharing it, you then go, oh, hey, thanks for sharing, or you send it to other comedy accounts online or Instagram or Facebook or YouTube and say, hey guys, I've got these great bits of content, I don't know if you'd want to share it, or I could look to make stuff for you, So you kind of go from here to the story to then like, how can you expand outside of that? And that's my 3
that's
awesome. Things. So very similar.
Yeah, tick, tick, tick. Would you say that then it's important to have a strong idea of your, say, online persona or what you're trying to get across before you start putting content out there?
I think like the way I always see things is like, imagine being on like a island and you're stuck on this island and you want to get to that island over there. There's 1,000 different ways you can get there. You could swim there, you could build a boat, you can, get a jet ski or whatever, you can fly or do whatever you want.
Make some skis out of some coconut
there's like
shells.
hundreds of ways you can get from here to there. So as long as you know where there is, there's infinite amount of ways to get there. You just got to start on your way on the path. So I think the most important thing is knowing who you are, what your content in your brand is, which is what's over there, and then how you're gonna like complete that journey online.
Cool, man.
Hopefully that was simple.
Yeah. Hugh?
I guess, I mean, the thing is for me is that I always knew I wanted to work in film. So when I was making online content, I was using that format. I wasn't really making videos with my phone up here in selfie mode in my bedroom being like, sup guys? You know, I didn't want to be a vlogger. I always knew I wanted to be a filmmaker and an actor. So I stuck to that format. And I think that the internet can be crazy. Has anyone ever seen there's that like girl who literally said, cash me outside, and now she has like 14 million followers, right?
Danielle, yeah.
That's right, Danielle.
Big fan.
talented.
Big fan of her.
Big fan, yeah.
So the internet's
Reality.
crazy. The internet can show a lot of love for really stupid things.
Yeah.
And that's the thing to remember with the internet is that anything, if you sat down around a table and someone was like, right, ideas, let's just say cash me outside. You would never think in a million years that would work. So developing an audience can come from almost anything. And I strongly recommend just creating and experimenting and doing whatever you find fun, because that can happen at any moment. And that was what really happened to me. I stuck to a film format, but I really just experimented and tried loads of different things. And eventually, it's like you said, you know, there's 1,000 ways to get to that other island, but if you're trying to build a jet ski at the same time as trying to build a raft and trying to swim at the same time, it's going to take a long time. So if you can figure out what makes you happy, does jet skis make you happier? In my circumstance, filmmaking makes me happy and acting makes me happy. So I stuck to that one format. You don't want to go viral and then do something completely different. And everyone that has followed you and discovered you, they're like, well, that's not what I subscribe to.
Yeah.
So once you figure out what makes you happy, try and stick to that kind of format that you like and enjoy, and just be consistent and keep posting something until something works, even if it is just 100 views and then the next one's 200 views. You know, what was different in that next one to get it double the views? And it starts very small like that. I think it's a bit of a trap from what you said sometimes, sending videos to like Unilad and Lad Bible. Don't do it. It can be it's a trap. They're not creators. They're growing more out of it than you ever will. You can go single-handedly way more viral on your own, and you will never learn what works in your own content if you're just handing it to someone that posts something. That if they have 40 million followers and they post something, there's gonna be a percentage of people that love it, but it's not gonna help you learn how you go viral yourself and what you need to do with your format to help it get out there more. So sometimes putting something out there that is really great and it only getting 100 views can do a lot more for you than giving it to someone who's gonna get 40 million views out of it themselves. Because you really, really can work on your own analytics in a small scale and really analyze it and say, right, well, that did better, why? And keep replicating in that, and if that makes sense.
If you've created something, don't just give it away.
Yeah, don't just give it away. Everything's valuable on the internet. Everything and nothing.
That's kind of brings us on to the last point. Is you've found your niche, you found your jet ski or whatever it is to take you to the next island. You've built your platform. How do you get paid from that? Oh yeah, niche. yeah. Niche, yeah. That wasn't planned, guys.
Can I just add one point from just following from you, because that's one thing that I struggled when I first started to make content, is like I didn't have like a very strong character or tagline. Like a lot of the first generation Viners who went to Facebook, they all had like Dapper had a character, Anto had a character with the bar, and I was like, oh crap, I don't have and then I panicked for a little bit, and I was like, actually, so the 2 points I would say when you're setting up a page, whether it's your Instagram, your Facebook, whatever like media you're on, is make content that is like original to you. Don't try and copy or imitate other people, because you will literally just be a crap version of them. I was like, you can take inspiration from other people and you can definitely like reinvent stuff, but don't try and mimic Zoella, or don't try and mimic someone, because you will just be a not as good version.
Sorry, please.
Yeah,
go on.
and then the second thing is make your page. So don't look at the views, just put content out on your page regardless. Make it really steady, really regular, because when that, or if that viral video or that thing does pop off, people are going to be flooding to your page, and you want it to be already there. So if you're going to start a page, maybe backlog a bit of content and start releasing it once a week, twice a week, whatever it is when you want to do your schedule, and make your page like really welcoming. So when people do come, they're gonna flick over your Instagram and make a quick decision whether they want to follow you or not. It's crazy. You can see in the analytics how many thousands of people have come through to my Facebook page and decided not to click like. And I'm like, okay, why is that?
Why don't they like me?
Yeah, don't take it personally. Like, oh, well. But yeah, just make your page, but make it as if you don't care and as if no one's looking. Like, keep doing you, putting the content that you find funny. You find hilarious. I did also go off a little bit of a path trying to make content that I thought people would like, and there is a few tricks to that. There is stuff that you can. I kind of invented a formula for a viral video, and but then I was like,
care to share?
I can, but then I was like, but then I'm not really making stuff that I find really funny, and I'm making it more
being true to you.
For you, yeah. And I was like, and sometimes I'd make a video and I'd put it out, and it would get a few thousand views, and it wouldn't perform well. But I was like, but that's hilarious. I'm so proud of that. I'm tagging that at the front of my page.
Yeah. Is there then a danger in what you were talking about, like having a thing and all these other people have their thing? Like, is there a danger then in creating a character through your social media that, say you have aspirations like you guys to be in the film industry and be like an actor, you know what I mean? Is there a danger with creating a character that people will never be able to separate you?
Yeah.
And you having to live with that? The fact that, you know, you've created this monster, almost this Jekyll and Hyde thing, and you'll never be able to separate yourself from it.
Enormously.
Yeah, Keith Lemon.
It happens all
anyone,
the time. Online, when people find that thing that works, sometimes it's very tempting to just rinse it dry, and you should, to some extent, rinse it a little bit to get your audience. And sometimes, but if you do it too much, that audience then only wants that one thing, and anything else you do, they will not support. I've always been very careful. If I ever do a series, there's usually, I think the max I've ever done of the same thing is 3.
Yeah, I sort of say don't do part 2, but if it is good,
And the reason why is because I am trying to project myself as an actor and a filmmaker. I'm versatile. I am not this one thing that everyone loves. And even though it can be difficult when you know something works and people do love it, if they like you in general and what you do, they'll support it. If they're there for that one thing, then it's sad to see them go, but it's kind of not beneficial to yourself. Specifically, if you are trying to be an actor, you don't want people just going, "Oh, you're Keith Lemon." Mm-hmm. You don't want people. I know a lot of one of my closest friends, Joe Charman. He is the skills guy, and it's because he got very, very famous from doing all these cool skill shots.
Trick shots and
but he really struggles to get away from that now. And even though he previously for years was doing absurd amounts of different content, it was weirdly that one thing that went off, and he did it so much that he became the skills guy. And people just when we're walking down the street, people are just like, skills!
Yeah.
You know, and
do a trick shot.
And he's trying very hard now
Throw
to
my baby
into like acting
pillow.
and things, you know, but he's very much, you just have to be careful not to overdo something, you know.
Do you know who's I think smashes it is the King Batch.
Yeah, Andrew Batchelor. He's great.
He's managed to successfully be his own thing, do his own style of sketch, and he's transferred onto Netflix and proper TV now. Mm-hmm. And he's been able to, I think he treads the line perfectly of social media presence and Hollywood and
Also, I think reinventing yourself's not a bad thing as well. If you do get stuck in a role, you know, we were talking about The Rock earlier. Mm-hmm. Perfect example. He was a high school, college jock football player, I think. Yeah. And that didn't go as planned. He didn't get the career he wanted. So then he transformed himself into this wrestler and created this character, and now he's turned into this inspirational, the biggest actor in the world,
the most well-paid actor.
And it's like that journey of going from one thing to another, but still being genuine to himself. In 3 different kind of roles or characters, however you want to see it, has worked really well for him.
Just to continue on that tandem of actors and using social media and how we can use social media to further ourselves. We were talking as well outside about this old kind of idea of actors being really mystical and not really tangible and not really having a handle on who they are as people. And a part of that was not using social media. So like Kit Harington or Leonardo DiCaprio or whoever it may be who didn't actually have social media. Do you guys feel that there's still a place for those type of actors without social media? Do you, the person that springs to mind we were talking about was Will Smith, wasn't it? He didn't have it for a very long time, and then for whatever, I think his movies were starting to do a little bit bad, and then he jumped on social media, and now he's the king of it. Is there a place still a place for actors without social media?
Yeah,
There is.
in movies.
Yeah.
Just not not in culture. If you want to be part of culture, which is what Will's done really well, is again he's reinvented himself into this and heightened version of his character for YouTube and Instagram, and he's smashing it. And you look at, I was listening to an interview recently where they were talking about Ashton Kutcher was like the biggest on Twitter, DJ Khaled was the biggest on Snapchat, now Will Smith's like the biggest thing on Instagram. Not the biggest, but he probably will be eventually. But and it's just they've put themselves into those roles to make themselves relevant, because any 16-year-olds to 20-year-olds to 25-year-olds have never seen The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Us guys probably like still watch it.
Can quote every episode.
Yeah, but like it's not a part of their culture. Their culture is the online world, the comedians on Instagram, the comedians on things, the actors here and there.
Less people are going to the cinema. More and more and more, it's in decline. Everyone's watching. You can just stream it on Netflix, Amazon, download it, find it anywhere. So I think they're being very clever in putting themselves onto social media, because it is the future.
Well, with social media and kind of building a career around social media, I know you guys will be interested in talking about this. Do you feel that there's a sense of power that is kind of held over you? I know, Hugh, you had an experience with Vine. You were very popular on Vine, and then all of a sudden you woke up one day and it was gone. Yeah, let's revisit that moment.
Let's relive that.
Yeah, let's relive that tragic moment. So yeah, why don't you talk us through your experience with Vine and how you built it up, and then when the day the music died?
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to be in film, and when Vine started kicking off for me, it almost felt like a godsend. I was very broke. I was so poor, and I used to work in Asda doing night shift, and I was miserable, and I just stopped going. I didn't even hand in my notice. I just one day was like, no, you know what? There's nothing is worth this misery. So I literally stopped going. I got a loan from the bank, and they gave me some awful rates because my credit rating was terrible. But I did it anyway, and I bought a load of cameras and lenses, and I learned how to use them. And long story short is that did not work out so well. All that equipment and all those things, I think I had one job that whole year, and I got paid like $2,000, and it was filming aeroplanes. And I was vining. I was becoming so frustrated with it. I was working for free on so many things, music videos and furniture adverts and airplanes, and it just wasn't making any money. And you know, we all love money, but it's not the be-all, end-all. But it certainly is when you get to a certain age and you have to pay rent and you have bills, and you want it to be a sustainable career. And so I was vining on the side because that's how I was letting my creative juices out. And Vine was just 6 seconds, so it was kind of quick back then. And you couldn't import videos; it had to be filmed on your phone. I didn't even have a phone back then; I had an iPod, so I just filmed it on an iPod. And it started going, it started moving very slowly, and that was very exciting. But on the day I begged for my job back at Asda, the BBC got in touch the very next day. And they were like, we'll give you 250 quid per Vine. We want you to make Vines for us. And I was like, oh my God, money for 6-second videos? This is insane. And I did it, and I held off on Asda. I became hopeful. I was like, there's something here. So I put my entire focus on Vine.
Put Asda on ice.
Yeah, you know, Asda's gone now.
Yeah.
And then the next week, Lionsgate got in touch, and they were like, we'll give you 500 quid for one. And I was like, okay, there's something here. I'm working with all these big people that I've always wanted to work with. I put all my focus on Vine. I spent the next 3 years vining full time. I had 350 million views just on that app alone, and the Vines went viral everywhere else. And I had something like 550,000 followers. And then one day I woke up and I had loads of calls and emails from loads of journalists being like, how'd you feel about Vine dying? And I was like, oh God, my heart, my heart. And Vine didn't even tell me after all that sort of loyalty.
Wow.
It's a tough breakup.
It was tough, but I really thought it was the end of everything. I thought, well, there goes a sustainable income, there goes my career. But Vine was very much like a TV show for me. I did a couple of series of it or whatever, and then when I stopped doing that, it didn't suddenly make me unvaluable as an actor. I realized that none of these brands were looking at me because of the numbers. They were looking at me because they liked the content, and they continued wanting that content because they had the budgets to put the money behind that content to still get the views and everything they wanted out of it. But they certainly didn't want to put money in, say, a different social media person who potentially would be unreliable or potentially not the right format, once they'd found something they really loved, and it worked, they really wanted to keep utilizing that. And for that meant a slight compromise. And for me, it meant a slight compromise. But it was never the end of the career for me. Actually, if anything, flourished more because I wasn't tied to 6 seconds anymore.
Yeah, that's interesting with the 6 second thing. I mean, it's a huge talent to create something interesting and engaging within 6 seconds, like a story within itself. So
My mum disagrees.
yeah, but what I'm interested in asking as well is how do you then create long form content with your brands and things there? I mean, is there a place for long form content online, Johanna?
It's really hard because, well, it's changing at the internet. I've been doing it for 2 years, and it's so different now to what it was 2 years ago. I could give you some really easy hacks on how to instantly grow your pages, but those channels have stopped working now. It used to be that you could collab with other influencers and you would share each other's, which is still, I would think, is one of the best things to do, is find other people who make stuff like you and work together to share it. But it is so hard to grow now.
Really?
And yeah, I'm just being honest with you guys. Like, it's getting hard. The internet's getting oversaturated. If you go to a school now, you ask the kids like, "What do you want to be?" It's not like, "Oh, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a footballer." It's, "I want to be a YouTuber." Everyone wants to be a YouTuber. Then sometimes like, "Okay, cool. What do you do?" Like if you actually look at the people who are super successful, I think it's because they originally started doing it not for the money.
Yeah.
You were doing it because of something else.
Yeah.
I was doing it because it was fun to do. I've slightly gone off the question. What's the question?
The question is how do you create long form content?
So it's hard to put long form out there because it doesn't perform well on the internet because the internet is so fast. You have...
So just to give an idea to these guys, how long is long form content?
Long form, I'd say, is over 3 minutes.
So that's 3 minutes worth of content.
Over 3 minutes,
so
yeah.
It's difficult to get an audience engaged for 3 minutes.
Viral
guys.
videos tend to be about 60 seconds.
Yeah.
So if you go 1, 2 minutes, 3 minutes is running the maximum before people's basically attention spans are getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. You have.
That's why they do the 5 second ads on YouTube
Yeah.
now.
You have 3 seconds to grab someone's attention and retain it. It is like entertaining a toddler.
Sorry, you lost me.
Which is why at the opening of videos you've got to stop someone scrolling or you've got to make someone click, and it's really hard. It's everyone's just like, look at me.
How have you guys kind of mastered that technique then?
Yeah,
within 3 seconds. What? So you've got 1.
Yeah. So
2,
the way to do, well, the
3.
cheap way to do it is you got to put a boobs in the thumbnail.
Okay.
Not that I do, but this is what the techniques that most people on the internet use.
Sex sells.
They use clickbait, but the reason I say do not do that is because it will bite you in the bum later on. When you actually come to try and make money, nobody will invest in you if you have clickbaity boobs.
Then you'll end up with millions of followers and never
nothing,
making a penny.
There's like so when I started out, I was one of the first girls to do Facebook comedy videos. Like I saw like Amanda Cerny and people in America doing it, and I saw nobody in England. So I was like, right. And
step aside.
Started doing, and then since then, I've had loads of girls join the internet, and I've helped loads of girls start up their pages and just pass on all the knowledge and stuff. And I had to make a decision really early on. I was like, right, I can either do the easy way, and I can either, you know, wear very cleavagey things or do those kind of jokes or that kind of comedy. Or I could go the longer way, and I'm going to get less views, and it's going to be a longer trip, but I'm going to like stay PG.
Yeah.
Which is like more true to myself anyway. And I've had friends who have got double, triple my numbers. They've got 2-3 million followers because they went that way. But at the end of the day, they are not the ones that are able to have brand deals. I've been blessed. I've been able to work with Kellogg's and Disney and the brands out there who are actively trying to find people. They will not touch you if you have like really,
Clickbait,
if you have clickbaity material, cheap hits really.
So the way to grab attention is with clickbait, but you can't make any money off of clickbait.
Or the other way is by something that is genuinely funny, and the one word of the whole internet is relatable. So I do like a lot of observational comedy. I constantly am writing notes on my phone. If something funny happens in my life, if I fall over on the bus or if I like bump into someone that's really awkward, or I'll just quickly write it down and be like, I can remake that funnier, embellish bits and whatnot, and find something there as well that so relatability, make it relatable. Everybody has had that like awkward moment where they can't talk in front of a crush and you feel like mortified, and so that's what makes people also click on it. or they share it or they engage with it, is because they feel that they know it. So there's two ways. There's the boobs, or there's relatability.
And in terms of those people that do click on it, do you guys feel with One Extra and with your own personal platforms that you have a typical follower, a typical demographic, or is it a bit spread out, far-reaching to all kind of ages, sexes, shapes and sizes?
It's very different for everyone, isn't it?
Really wide, really global.
Mine's very much. Mine's something like 95% UK and
Is
US.
it?
Yeah. And it's 90% over 18s. But that's specifically because I cater my content for adults. You know, I'm not opposed to swearing and anything like that. And the reason why I cater for adults is because it's adults who are casting actors in films, and it's them I want to make laugh. So I always cater for those people, and instead of doing clickbait, I do want to still get seen. Those people don't see you unless you get out there. But for me, it's more about consistency and trending topics, jumping on trending topics, and doing your own spin.
Right.
My audience is primarily UK and US. I've never really attempted to delve into other demographics, and usually you get those kind of other demographics from things like other pages posting your content. Right. And that's because they have vast demographics, because they post so much different content, not just a niche. So I've always sort of approached it in that kind of regard, and then that makes me very desirable for brands because they're hitting a primary audience. If a brand wants to hit a UK audience, they can come to me, but if they want to hit a global audience, then other people would potentially be better.
You do very English comedy specific,
I do.
and I've got a massively global audience because I found like my style of comedy is, I call it Mr. Beaning it. So I'm massively inspired by Mr. Bean. He's famous in.
He's seminal, man.
He's all over because he doesn't speak. All his comedy's physical. So I found
Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah. So they are like the gods.
Doing so much with so little.
So my videos kind of went all over the world, and I've got a lot of fans in sort of like Philippines and Germany and
transcends
Australia.
race.
Yeah, because I do a lot of it, and I try and think as well. I was like, if you can do it, if you can make it funny without speaking, if you can translate that works really well on the internet as well, because you'll get more of a global spin on it. Yeah.
There you go, guys. Be relatable and don't speak. So,
yeah, like if you
want to become a YouTube star, is what you do.
When you look at something and like I'd write a little script out of what I'd want it to say, and then I'm actually, do I need to say that? Can I just do that with a look?
So it's more about taking away rather than adding.
Yeah, I've learned my first sketch was 4.5 minutes long. Going back to the long form, I started off doing long form, and it didn't necessarily do well on the internet, but the internet is changing and heading towards episodic content. It is.
Yes,
this is where it's going in the future. So anyone who does want to make like a 10-minute short film, or they want to make little episodic stuff, is the way forward. That's what I'm like putting all my effort into now.
I do still find it incredible that 4 minutes is considered long form. It's crazy.
Because everyone on the internet, you're too bored. You look at the like retention stats, you can see like everything.
The drop off.
Yeah, and you see the drop off, and it's insane. People going, nah, bored.
How do you? You have to always think to yourself, how do you consume content? Because do you watch the videos on mute without actually putting the sound on, or
on the train.
Do you watch 5-minute videos, or when you see a 5-minute video you're like, it's not worth it, and you just go? And once you understand your own habits of consuming, it's easy to understand what other people are doing.
Very
as
interesting.
Well.
I'm a bit of a snob with quality. If something's like filmed really well or HD, I'm on YouTube. I'm like, if they've got the whole setup, I'm like, yeah, I'll watch you. And I'm really snobby.
Like some effort was put into it.
Yeah, I'm really snobby with like.
I'm similar.
The effort of is the sound quality good?
How about you, Alex? Do you at One Extra have for your social media platforms? Do you have a typical follower or demographic?
Well, we've got a demographic that we target, which is 16 to 25-year-olds. You guys.
Anyone listen to One Extra here? Can I have a whoop, whoop, whoop?
Couple.
Yeah, sometimes. All right, we got a sometimes.
So we're 16 to 25-year-olds, and then the other side of it is the Black, Asian, and mixed ethnic audience. So that's who we target. So all of our kind of music and our content and stuff is reflective of what people are listening to and watching and seeing.
Yeah.
And then, much like what these guys say, we then format our content for Instagram. We'll make square videos with subtitles or whatever it may be to fit in the certain platforms. I've
got this feeling that with the BBC you kind of have a rigid structure that you need to adhere by in terms of your social responsibility and all that type of stuff there, and I'm just interested in something all three of you may have to put in here, and how far you feel you can go with pushing the boundaries. The internet is a bit of a wild, wild west thing. I'm sure you'll all agree. Like, there's not many. There's rules and things you should do, but there's no one there kind of saying, oh, you know, I mean, a sheriff out there in town. How far can you guys go with pushing the boundaries? And do you have any cool stories where you went too far?
I'll speak from a one extra point of view. So for us, we obviously have like an editorial guidelines just throughout for radio, for content, for everything, and we have to try and fit within that.
Right.
Obviously, as we're one extra, the content within the music that we play is slightly more pushing it than you might hear on a Radio 1 or Radio 2.
Okay.
So the content we put out reflects the music that we play. Obviously, there's a lot of conversations going on at the minute around youth culture and violence and stuff, and the music that kids listen to. So we have to be very sensitive around what are we putting out, what is the language in those clips, etc., etc. And that goes down to even the tunes we're playing on the radio, what is the content. But we've always done that, so we're kind of there with it. Other stations have not been there with it, and there's a recent incident with an online station where it all went a bit sour with the community around the station, and that's because they probably didn't have an editorial, guidelines in place. And then the other thing I was going to say is I can't remember. It will come.
My content, my humour, what I find funny, tends to not be that risky anyway. I find like general, like relatable, everyday stuff or physical comedy funny. Where I've got in trouble is with music. Because the internet is supposed to be like a free space, but I listen to a song, and that's where I get inspired by a lot of sketches. I'll hear a song and I'll see the edit in my mind, and I'll be like, oh yeah, this would be really funny if this bit and this bit. But you can get penalised massively on the internet for using music that's not yours. So I have, the biggest one was like the most viral video that I ever did. I grabbed a song off YouTube, and it was like a trap remix version of an old song. I didn't really think too much. I thought, oh. Because you can trick the if you use remix versions of songs, sometimes it doesn't pick up on the copyright machine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I always do like remixes to try and like hide. But it's bad because if you get penalised, they can end up taking down your Instagram or taking down your Facebook. But this video went like super viral overnight, like 90 million views.
Yeah.
And I had the record company in LA like emailing me, being like, you do not have the right. And they were like, you're obviously making a lot of money from this video. And I was like, not made a penny.
Yeah.
I'm not monetized. I've made not a single penny. And then in the end, they were like, if you credit us, we'll allow you to keep it on there. But I thought they were going to
Well, isn't it free advertising for them anyway?
Well, exactly. It turns out, but I think they were just like, everyone's hounding for money, and they were sniffing around the money. But it took me a long time to make any money on the internet. I wasn't monetized. I'm not monetized. You can't, like, Instagram's not monetized. Facebook isn't monetized. I didn't really do a YouTube. I mean, I think I make about £60 every quarter on YouTube. Yeah, that's not like an income. So I went
like a full platter at Nando's.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
But
I measure everything in what I can get in Nando's. So
it took about a good year. I was still working in a bar and had a carer job, and I was doing loads of little things on top of making these sketches in my spare time. And now it's my full time. But it did take over a year before anything came to with money. So, and I think it shows as well, if you're diving in it to make it a job and to make money, then your content's going to suffer, and people can like sniff it out that you're not genuine. But if you're putting stuff online because you genuinely find dressing up as cosplay or whatever, and that's your thing, and that's your like niche, people will be more attracted. And as soon as you try and sell someone something, this is like where I've fallen over, because the only way I can make money is through advertisement. Because I can't make money per view, I have to sell people stuff in my videos to make money, which people are like, oh, you're a sellout. I'm like, well, I can't make the content you want to see. I literally don't have time to do all of it. So I find it so hard to try and like find that balance of making genuine content that you would make anyway, but also having a like, buy this Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
We do have this thing in our hands. We all have our phones, right? It's an extension of our arms. We carry it with us everywhere we go. I guess what a lot of people are interested in is, how do you unlock this kind of thing where you have a free app and you use it for fun? How do you turn that platform which you use for fun into getting paid, into making a living from?
Numbers. Yeah, because one reason it took me like over.
You did a face
year.
there.
I disagree.
You disagree?
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay,
Let's get ready to rumble,
But
people.
it is. Unfortunately, brands see numbers and they go, oh, you've got this 100,000 followers on Instagram. Well, you can sell people stuff, and I think they're a little bit behind. Because it's true. You could be the funniest person in the world if you've got 2 followers. If you got 2 followers, brands they.
My mum and my dog.
It's a bit of a numbers game, and I've had like one of my best friends who I make comedy with. She's on a lot lower numbers, and she's so talented, but she's been turned away from stuff because they're like, your numbers aren't that great.
Numbers. What do you think, Hugh?
So I'm not going to name names, but a really great creator.
Come on,
I know.
name names.
I won't.
Come on.
Only because I'm going to drop some money numbers. So I don't
Okay.
wanna name
Cool.
him in. But there's a guy I know who has 10,000 followers, and he makes a good £200,000 a year. And it's got nothing to do with those numbers, but it's because his content is so unique and it's so good that the brands don't mind paying for that content. They know they can put the spend behind it to get it the views if they want it the views. But the difference is with branding now is brands aren't necessarily wanting this one-off ad. They want consistent content to fill their timeline. So you've got people like Edgar Wright, who directed Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and Rick and Morty and things. They post out other people's fan art. And the reason why is because they want to keep their news feeds going and keep it relevant. So they utilize other people's content. And brands don't have people submitting stuff as fans. No one is a fan of Walker's Crisps enough to make a fan video. But they can certainly pay for people to make content. And they need lots of content. They need to keep their pages consistent. They need to keep that engagement up. So you can do it that way. And the same with me. I was making really good money on Vine, really great money. And when Vine went, I was
Are you going to talk numbers or not?
I mean, I made
£1 billion.
Yeah.
1 billion. I mean, let's. I mean,
1 million rupees.
no one loves talking about money, but it was certainly, it wasn't a little amount.
Okay.
6 figures, 5 figures.
It wasn't little, guys.
It was
really
a
narrows
lot.
it down.
It was a lot. And I thought to myself that when Vine ended, that was it. I was like, there goes my revenue, there goes my money, and that wasn't the case at all. When the following was gone, the same brands still, they needed content, and they still wanted that content, and they were happy to continue paying the same fees. I never in my life thought about it. I really did think it was the end for me, but it really was the content they wanted, and it was never about how many views I would get, because everyone's relevancy goes up and down, and sometimes someone will have a really big viral hit and it will get 100 million views, but that doesn't mean that person's then going to make a brand video and it get 100 million views. Looking at someone's best video is not an accurate way of analyzing how many views you would get working with that person, especially because most of the platforms cap branded content in the first place. So a lot of the time it really just comes down to content, and sometimes a lot of these brands have to bite the bullet and put spend behind something. But when you're talking about these brands, you are talking about these billion-dollar franchises. They're not cheap. They do have the money. It's just that a lot of creators really fail at understanding the value of their content, and they always value it based on the numbers and the following and the views. And as a result, they kind of get taken for this wild ride. And it's not by the brands. It's by the agencies, the middlemen between, that they're trying to pocket as much as they can as possible. But make no mistake, those brands are paying those same money. It's just it's not going in the influencer's pocket.
I would say, so numbers-wise, when you can start making money, when you have a few thousand followers on Twitter.
Okay. Not bots, real followers.
Real followers. I'm so super proud that I've never in my life botted or paid for. And it's not, don't ever buy followers or fans or stuff.
People can see
it's fake. Your engagement levels aren't right. You'll have like 20,000 followers, but when you post a post, 3 people will like it because they're the actual followers that you have. Everyone looks at engagement, not always the numbers as well. So never buy or fake it, because it really isn't worth it. It'll bite you in the bum later.
And brands use these websites where you can analyze someone's entire Instagram from the very beginning moment they made it to the end, and they can analyze exactly where the followers come in and everything like that.
Yeah, so
it's people. That's why you sometimes see people with 30 million followers, and you're like, well, how come they never get a brand deal? It's because brands aren't dumb. They're not spending money on con artists. They do their research.
Just to like relax you as well, like all of the major Instagram people, like Amanda Cerny, Lele Pons, all those people, they all buy followers. It is, just throwing it out there. A lot of it's fake. So I don't feel bad because I was like, I'm funny. Why have I got 15 million followers on Instagram? I was like, because I'm not buying all my fans.
So don't measure your worth in terms of your followers.
I think it comes into the bracket of the really smart brands are now looking at micro influencers.
I was just about to talk about that.
Johanna was just touching
people
on.
with 800 to 1,000 followers.
I'd even say like the 1,000 to 10,000 bracket on an Instagram.
On Instagram,
is a micro influencer.
Yeah, 5 to 10k on Insta and a couple of thousand on Twitter. You can start making money from your content.
Okay, and again, but they will look at the engagement because an average engagement rate is 3%. So if you've got 1,000 followers. And you're getting, I've got to get my maths quick here, 30 comments on your Instagram.
Let's get the calculator out.
That's 3%, right?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah,
it is, isn't it? Yeah, good. So like if you're getting, if you're already getting those figures, you're hitting the average. Like no one has 1,000 followers and gets 1,000 comments and likes. It's impossible. So as long as you've got that follower base and the percentages, what these guys were talking about, the engagement rate and the percentages natural, then you're already onto a winner. So it's not going, oh man, I don't have 1 million followers, I'm never going to get a brand deal. The smart ones will go, actually, this person's got 1,000 followers, they're getting 50 comments, 1,500 views, whatever it is, likes, and
Can I
they'll
just
go from
do
there.
a quick practical thing if you want to help grow your Instagram, your Facebook, your YouTube, whatever. The platforms reward you for your community experience. So if you are liking and commenting on other people's stuff, it will reward you by showing your stuff to more people. When you drop a photo on Instagram, it will show, it's like 10% of your audience. So everyone who's clicked to follow you won't see your photo that pops up, only that 10%. Unless it starts getting engagement on it and likes and clicks, and then the computer will go, oh, maybe this is a really banging selfie, so we're going to show it to 50% and a little bit more. So, and the more that you comment on others, so we kind of cheat the system a little bit with things called engagement groups. So if you found like-minded creators and you guys make a little like DM box, and every time you drop some content, a video, a selfie, whatever, you post it in the group and say, guys, spam it. And you can kind of help boost your engagement.
Like and social community.
Yeah, you make little communities. We have share circles on Facebook as well. So like when you're dropping stuff, you just trying to get your friends, your family, anyone to like it and share it and comment on it, and it does help you just even like slowly build. That's just like a little practical thing, and I've noticed the same. So if you get involved in the community, it will reward you by showing more of the community.
And also to say
help each other out.
A comment holds more weight than a like, because a like's easy, especially on like an Instagram and Facebook. You just go like. Yeah,
like. Don't just sit and like. You've got to sit and comment, and more than 4 words as well.
This is a dope post.
So
like, with an emoji.
Yeah. Yeah. So not just one emoji and a ha. If you're saying a sentence, I mean, if you have to, just like copy and paste a paragraph of Shakespeare in there, like whatever. It would just do it. You can see a lot of influencers will be commenting and liking on everyone's stuff. It's not because we love their stuff. It's because we're helping each other out, and we'll say the most random stuff like, "Have a great day. I love toothbrushes."
All right, brilliant. Yeah, that's excellent, guys. Thank you so much. Of course, I'm sure that a lot of people out there have got some interesting questions for our expert panel here, so please shoot your hand up if you do. Don't be shy. Got one over there, one there. Cool, 2, good. Well, we've covered a lot when not a lot of hands go up.
So means we gave so much good information.
Yes, so much great information.
No one has.
Can we get a mic to the people with their hands up? Shoot them up high.
I think they're just overwhelmed. Like, what is a spend?
Yeah.
What's the 3%?
What is an internet?
What is it? Do you have MySpace?
I do.
Might be in your top 8.
Hi, thank you for the panel. It was really interesting to hear. I know you've spoken a lot about numbers in the content, but how long do you spend on your content before posting, and how much time, I guess, especially with like maybe sketches or kind of more considered pieces or drama, would you suggest spending before kind of just throwing it out there into the world? Does that? I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
It depends. Like one time I had an idea and I spent a whole day filming this sketch that I made with I had a rapper friend who wanted to promote his song. So I listened to the song and went, I could write a sketch to that song, and we kind of collabed and we did a day prep, and then we shot it and we edited it and graded it, and we put so much effort out, and I put that out on my Instagram. And then another one, I was in my friend's hot tub, and I was like, oh my God, it looks like we're in Titanic. Let's do a quick little Titanic skit. And I did a little quick, like, Jack. And that got way more views and engagement than the one that I spent the whole day filming it. So you can't be precious to it. You've got to be like, yes, I spent 3 weeks working on that fantastic sketch. And that was just as good as the little Vine that I did when I was on the loo. So it just, like, fine.
I personally, it depends on the idea. If I think an idea is...
You go big. You go, like, full film.
Yeah, I do. I get, like, boom operators. Like, I try and do things as a filmmaker if the idea warrants it. If I think the idea is good, I'll get a full team in, and we'll spend a month or sometimes 2 months on it, sometimes even longer. But if something's just a quick little idea, I'm not opposed to just shooting something and editing it on a mobile phone, because as long as you're putting content out, you're always giving yourself you're risking being seen and being caught. So I'm always putting myself out there. It's just that if I think I have a really good idea, we don't want to half-ass it. We like to give it as good a chance as possible to go viral or to impress, in particular, brands and casting agents and real people that work in the industry who are comparing you to traditional media. They want to see the quality be compared as well, not just the talent.
Yeah.
I think it's like a lot of it, again, is dependent. I think as long as you do a lot of everything, I find, in terms of the content.
I guess you have to put a lot of content out.
Yeah, I mean, particularly at work, but also with my own stuff on the podcast. It's like, when I record the podcast, it's like a 3-camera shoot. There's like a camera on me, a camera on the guest, a wide shot. They then go into the edit. We then have the videos which we put on Instagram and YouTube. But then also, when I'm walking to the station in the morning, I might be thinking about meditation, and I'll just do a quick, like, minute-long video on my way in on the tube and edit it literally on the tube and put it out. But then also, you've got Insta stories where people put loads of amazing content out, which I'll do. Sometimes I just do something about a social media detox or something, and just 5 quick snaps, upload, bang. And any of those can just do as well as the next.
Right.
I think it's just having that consistency of content and not stressing too much about the timing and how long it's taking. And it's like Joanna said, you might do one that takes 5 seconds and it's the best thing you've ever done in your life. So.
Cool.
I film on my phone a lot. I have bought equipment, but more often than not, I've got an iPhone 7S and it films in 4K.
It's brilliant quality.
No,
yeah.
7 Plus. 7 Plus.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, so technical. And I film, and what I've spent my money on is editing. But I first edited on Windows Movie Maker.
Yes.
And it's crap. So I've got Premiere Pro. I learned how to use Premiere Pro, and it's the best thing I've ever done, because it means I can edit my own content. You're not paying other people. And you can grade stuff on there to make it look way more expensive.
Yeah. Just don't use PowerPoint. Anybody else? I think we had another hand. We have 2 more. Brilliant. 3. Can we...
Hello.
Hi.
Very nice to listen to people who actually do all this. Thank you very much. I was wondering, when you put out your content, do you ever censor it? Do you think like, oh, this is not a good enough idea? Or do you put something out and you don't like it and you put it down? Or is it just the more the better?
Oh,
No, all the time. Yeah.
Quality or quantity?
I think it's got to be a fine mix. There must be, I don't know, 100 videos that I've made. Some of them where I've spent a lot of money making them, where I haven't put them out. And it's not necessarily because I don't think people will enjoy it. I'm sure if the internet's so vast, there's always going to be some people that enjoy it. But when it gets to that editing process, I still want to be enjoying it. And if I'm not enjoying it, then what am I doing it for?
Yeah.
So it can often get to that point where once we filmed it, it was a ton of fun to film. But then I get to the point where I'm like, do I believe in this? Am I enjoying it now? Am I going to enjoy putting it out? And sometimes the answer is no. It's probably a really bad thing for me to do, but it's often not about the whether or not it needs to be censored or anything like that. It's usually just because I'm not feeling it, and there's something in my gut that's taken me as far as now. So I often listen to it. You know?
I've never taken something down that I've put out because it hasn't performed well. I do know content creators who, if it doesn't reach you know, a million views
They'll
and something
axe
like that, they'll be like, nah, that did crap, I'm gonna take it down. And I'm like,
Mm.
it's hilarious, keep
It's a
it
bad
up.
habit.
I see my Instagram, my Facebook page almost like a CV or a calling card. So if someone wants to see my work, there it is. I don't look at the numbers, and that's what you said about brands will often sometimes go for like the quality of the content. They don't necessarily look at the views of it. So yeah, I would never take something down because it didn't perform well. I've done some stuff and I just go, oh well, you don't get my comedy, cool, whatever. I did take something down when I started working with some real major brands. I did take a few things down that I'd like swore in more because I was like, oh, is it gonna? And I have turned down work as well, which was like one of the hardest things ever to do when the brand deals did start coming in, and I was like blessed enough to pick and choose. But that was so hard because I was so broke before, and like a brand new condom company approached me and were like, oh, we'd love you to make something really fun and silly with this condom thing, and I was like, oh, I can't, I don't want to put it on my page because it's not like brand friendly, and and I had to like turn down £6,000, and I was like, oh my goodness.
See ya.
So I've only ever taken down something that I thought maybe would sway a brand off me, because I have also been kicked off a campaign before. They go right back through your content and they found something that they thought wasn't quite on brand, and I was like, I could have deleted it.
Let me know. Brilliant. Anybody else? Shoot your hand right up. I think we've got one right at the front here.
Hello. What I was wondering is, how do you get your films into film festivals using social media, or get onto awards to get nominated for these kind of things?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I get a lot of people who work in film festivals. I have a radio show on Fridays that sometimes Hugh does with me as well. And I always ask them, I'm like, how do people get in? And they say, well, you literally just go through the application, apply. So get yourself a list of all the film festivals that you're interested in, make your movie, literally just apply like everybody else. There's no real secret. I recently just went, this week I've been on a judging panel for a film festival. First time I've been able to do that. And so I was on the other side of it. I had to watch all the 22 entries, and then we sat in a room and we debated over who we thought won. And it honestly was just down to what we thought was brilliant. And so just make your stuff and just apply.
It's just like your opinion, man.
Yes. And it was crazy how some people were like, this is the best thing I've ever seen, and someone went, it was crap. And I was like, oh, it's completely objective.
And I think you can use social media after your film has got into the festival as well. It's just apply. Just everyone goes down the same route in terms of getting your film into the festival. So yeah.
Anyone can create a hashtag now for something.
By the way, hashtag future films. Everybody wants to post.
So you can do a little like mini campaign again with getting your friends and family to like write loads of comments. The more you write in the comment, the better it is to like get that whatever it is moving around the internet. Maybe cut down little sample teasery bits, so you've got 60 seconds, your best 60 seconds.
Sizzle reel.
Little sizzle reel. Get loads of like buzz around your project and what you're doing. But yeah, there's no real trick to getting into a film festival. You're getting in on your own talent.
There's a website called Film Festival Focus, which just does all the work for you. Like my problem when I was first starting with festivals is I didn't know what festivals, apart from the really big ones, right? And that just lists all of them, even the very brand new ones that are new that year. And what was great for me is when applying to specifically new festivals, they're trying to get out there. And when they're looking you up and things and they're Googling you, the social media was very helpful because they were like, oh, this person has a following, he might get us an audience for this festival. But it was also useful for me to get into these festivals anyway, even without the social media. It's kind of great to just put something out there. And some of them cost money to enter, but a lot of them are free, a lot of them are new, a lot of them are very excited to just have people applying. And that for me, I was very excited for my first festivals applying to, and a lot of those new festivals were equally excited, so sometimes it was kind of a great start of something for you both, and but that website could be really helpful for you.
Film Freeway is also a great one.
And if all else fails, start your own one, and then you'll win all the awards.
And what would you invest with your money? Would you invest in camera, sound, people, equipment? What would you invest in?
Well, Hugh invested in.
I think that camera is less important these days, purely because, like Johanna said, your phone can shoot in 4K.
A decent iPhone, you can film on it. I would buy. The difference being is I've invested in like a little gimbal to hold the iPhone,
tripod,
because somebody holding it with your hands is a little bit wobbly. So I think I spare. Well, I got it second hand on Amazon, so I didn't pay the full price. Or I've got my lighting set on eBay second hand as well. Like, you don't have to pay the. That I've found invaluable, so that you can prop up your camera wherever and you've got it like nice and steady. It turns your whole thing into a steady cam, so it's brilliant.
Yeah.
The editing is probably
And the editing,
the biggest
learn
thing.
how to edit.
Because you want to learn it yourself, otherwise you're relying on someone else, and if they're not there all the time, that means you can't put content all the time. So, but if you eventually, everything's going to be rubbish to begin with, but every time you edit something, you learn something new.
Oh yeah, I've had rubbish, and you just learn through. Like,
You get better and better
I
each
learned
time.
to forget to turn the microphone on and stuff like that, and then you get there and the footage is not in focus or something like that, and it took years to learn, and then you get your own little like guts about something. So now I watch something and I can't turn my brain off. I go, oh, would have cut there. Oh, would have cut there.
But never feel afraid, by the way, to get other people in. Like when I'm making a film and I think it's a really great idea, I will get a better editor and I will hire an editor. I will invest in that because I want it to do as well as possible in things like film festivals or online, or if it's for a brand and we have got a budget and I'm thinking I want to do it as great as possible. Like we hired the guy who built all the set for Guardians of the Galaxy, and he built us this Egyptian tomb for us to shoot this video in, and we ended up hiring him with 20th Century Fox with Johanna, where we that was him. He did Guardians of the Galaxy, and we spent the money on him because we felt like it was worthwhile and it would bring something to the production. And of course, it wasn't coming out of my own pocket; it was coming out of Fox's pockets, and we just asked them for that money, and they were like, "Cool, let's go." So it's always good to weigh up. You don't want to make yourself broke investing in things when you're not breaking the revenue back, but if a brand does approach and you have the option of money and you're still going to profit, then try new things and get other people in,
Spend their money, not yours.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there anyone else?
Oh, and what's the
Oh,
best?
you have three questions.
One
I'm
more.
sorry, two. That's
Just
it. We're
one
going to have to
more.
move. No, we haven't got the time, darling. I'm sorry.
Well over. Really unprofessional.
Damn it.
Sorry, Yari. Has anyone else got a question to ask? No? Guys, we've got a heckler in the back. Can someone take him out?
Get him out of here.
Oh, we're out. We are.
All right, guys. No, we are going to have to wrap up. I hope that was helpful for everyone. Can everyone give us a big round of applause for our panel, please? Massive round of applause. Now you guys join the front over here. Yeah, you sat in order. Brilliant. Oh yeah, guys, go grab a seat in the front row because right now we have a very, very exciting short film we have to watch. It's the Hive Short Film of the Month winner. So can we welcome George Cowie to the stage, please, George? George, come have a seat. How you doing? You okay?
I'm good, thanks. Hi,
Come, get cozy. Come. So, brilliant. This is the Hive Short of the Month. Why don't you give us a little insight into the film and what it's all about?
So this is a film about a bus. I'm a documentary filmmaker, and I run a production company. We make stuff for telly and for brands, and we normally make stuff about murders and sort of quite grim stuff. But this is a film about old people on a bus, so it's been a real joy to make.
Yeah, a bit of a departure. I hope no one gets murdered on the bus. So yeah, how did you come about making it? What was the process?
Well, I think we'd been working on stories where we were really having to chase our contributors, and access was really hard because they were a violent police officer, or they were they worked in a prison, or they were a grieving mother, and you were constantly kind of having to chase the story and gather evidence and all that kind of stuff. And actually we wanted to make a film in a really contained space where the action is just sort of happening in front of the camera. So the entire thing is shot at the back of a minibus, and we're driving around rural Wales picking up older people who live in farms and villages. And they jump on, and there's lots of kind of banter between them on the way to...
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
It sounds brilliant. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Without further ado, why don't we watch it, guys? Give a round of applause for George. Should we sit down?
gracefully and happily.
A couple of the old ladies, you know, they got such a terrific memory. They should be made to write it down because these stories are going to disappear.
How are you this morning?
Oh, not too bad, thank you, considering. No, considering cancer and everything else, yes.
And you'd be a lot better if we didn't have him on the bus.
There we are. Morning, Brenda.
On film this morning, my God.
They're looking for the next Marilyn Monroe, Brenda, and I think you could be the one.
We should take him off, really, and make this a ladies-only bus.
Well, that would mean the bus would be empty.
I suppose even if we leave Europe, I'll still be stuck with you lot, will I? Here in the Brecon Beacon, people have got to understand how remote it can be. There are little hamlets here who have no public transport whatsoever, and they're miles and miles from the nearest village, leave alone a town. And so the bus we provide is essential to those people, otherwise they're cut off from life in general, really. They all have bus passes, but they don't all have buses. I mean, Garnet, there'd be no point in him having a bus pass. His nearest bus, he'd have to travel 4 miles to get to the nearest bus stop. Without us, Garnet's cut off from the world.
Yep.
You seen anybody this week, Garn?
Haven't seen us all, no.
Haven't seen anybody since you stormed me on Tuesday then?
No.
Has it been cold up here all week? Has the frost been bad or is it not too bad?
Some days worse than other days.
Never mind, spring's come in.
Long time no see.
You all right?
Yes, thank you.
And have you got...
In the back of the bus, Rosie. All the naughty girls sit in the back.
Oh, the naughty guys would do better. Yeah.
Rosie, how have you been?
Oh, hanging by a thread, lovely boy. As always. Never without pain, isn't it? But I'm not a one to grumble. Like hell, I never stop.
Rosie!
Pardon?
Where are you getting off, love?
Morrison's. Garnet and I have got a date, haven't we, love? Yes. He treated me to fish and chips.
You got no chance, Rosie. His mother warned him about you Cardiff girls.
See you later, folks. Bye.
I think a lot of people think that they sort of passed their sell-by date, and so they're just a nuisance, and they don't, I don't know, they don't have any life, but they do have a life. There's quite a few of them really do enjoy themselves, you know, they like to go out to lunch, and they go to different little clubs and little groups. We very often say they have a better social life than we do. They probably know that they've got a limited time left, so just make the most of it.
I'm an inventor, amongst other things, and I have an invention which, if I don't give it out now, it'll die with me. It's a spaceship. She's 20,000 tons, steel, made of all of it. She's 500 feet long, 400 feet wide, 100 feet deep, but she's powered by an anti-gravity impulse engine. I've had it endorsed by a man of the 1850s, Isambard Kingdom Brunel. He's come and sat on my settee with the medium to say that what I was here, he come to see the only man who'd invented a workable spaceship on Earth. Me.
What do you make of all this?
I don't suppose the old girl knows what I'm talking about. No offence, mental love.
No.
No offence.
Everybody's entitled to
I'm an
their
engineer.
opinion,
I've
yeah.
been all my life off and on, and you know, I got a different concept of thinking than a normal person. So there, gentlemen, I'm going to give this now idea. I want Richard Branson. He's the only man I'll give this secret how the engine works. If she don't interested, you get in touch with him with your camera. Get him to come down, and if he comes down, get him to bring a couple of decent bottles of malts, island milk, not island, peaty. Something in the middle, Glenfiddich, this sort of thing, but something a bit tidy, decent.
What are you doing now?
Voting.
What have you got there?
That's my voting card. Put out. Goodbye, Europe. Thank you. Thank you. There we are. I've got what I wanted, haven't I? Publicity.
Not all our passengers are the elderly. We do sometimes carry people of a younger age who've got sort of special circumstances. We've got one young lady, Kerry, who had a traumatic incident up in London. Not really sure what, and we don't like to ask her. She's a very private person. She doesn't want you to know too much about things. We just bring her into town. She meets up with a therapist, has a little wander around, and then goes back again.
In 8 years I haven't been out without my husband or my therapist. I couldn't get out by myself at all. My therapist has been pushing me to try and even to get in the van was huge. She had to do it with me the first time. I still have flashbacks about the accident, so anything that triggers it and reminds me, I think I'm still back in the middle of the accident, or it can be a complete seizure where I just collapse on the floor. So, and then if people around me that don't know me, then they tend to start calling an ambulance, which makes the situation even worse. So.
Today's been quite a big day as well.
It's been a very big day. Just getting off the bus by myself and walking around the corner to meet my therapist. Yeah, not something I've ever done before. My heart's still pounding. I'm sweating. I'm really scared, but I still can't quite take in that I've done that. So.
What will you do when you get home?
Crash out, I think. Lie down in a dark room with a cup of tea.
I never ever wake up in the morning and think I don't want to go to work. You always know that something during the day is going to interest you in some way or another, or surprise you. I mean, you get old ex-farmers who love to tell you about how life was in the olden days, before tractors and things like this. You get ladies then who used to work in the hotels in Brecon back years and years ago. You know, they were the chambermaids, and you know, they used to have little funny stories to tell you about the rich and famous who used to come and stay and whatever. You get such a noise on you sometimes, you've got a job to hear what anybody's saying at all. They just like talking about their old life. Hello.
Hello, it's Jane from Psychiatry. I've got Mr. Rossiter ready to be picked up.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It won't be too long.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
There we are. We're off to get Mr. Rossiter as well now. I can tell you about his army life. You wouldn't think he was 96 to look at him. The most amazing thing about George is his shoes. You can see your face in his shoes. Obviously, ex-military, it sticks, doesn't it, you know? I was 16 when I joined up. You know, 21. My father said I'll give him 6 months. So 26 years later, I said, right, that's my father.
Yes.
What was your finest hour in your service in the military?
I don't know, really. I was in Malaya, I was in Germany, Palestine. I think my finest hour was when I got off the beach at Dunkirk.
How do you find talking about the war?
I don't. Not as a rule, and I'm not allowed to watch anything on the telly pertaining to the war, because I am post-traumatic stress. I had been post-traumatic stress for 10 years. I have these sort of nightmares and that, you know. Especially when my wife was alive, she kicked me. She said, wake up, what are you doing?
Hi, boys.
Hey, boys.
You're all waiting for candy, are you? Yeah. You'll be lucky.
Good morning. I've been interviewed on the Dial-A-Ride bus for a programme. That's what this is. It's a microphone. I didn't know I was having it done, but I'm having it done. Up there. It looks as though we're going to be stuck together for a little while longer. Up there.
So Brian, I'm intrigued by what you were saying about the medium. Can you explain that from the beginning?
Well, my wife died 7 years ago when she was 60. She'd been in the clairvoyancy world, but she'd always sort of rejected it. She only lives 200 yards from me, my medium. She sits, there's a prayer, and within a minute, my wife has come and appeared to her in the room. And we talk for about half an hour until her power is within, and she just goes back to the spirit world.
And what sort of things do you just discuss?
We go through all the family, you know, babies being born and people who are going to go.
What sort of things does your wife say to you?
She still loves me. And I was saying, what do they do over the other side? Well, she said that we do virtually the same as what we do over here. But she said, making love is a bit different. She said, in the physical world over here, it's a physical man to woman meaning, but over there, it's a mind to mind. But the orgasm that you get when you blend is greater than what you get over here in our sexual life. So I said, well, have you been practicing? No, she said, I'm waiting for you to get there.
At the end of your sessions, talking to your wife, how are you left feeling?
Well, elated to think that she still comes over to talk to me and still loves me and still wants me and I still want her. Yeah.
Does it ever make you feel emotional?
Occasionally. Occasionally, especially if it's around her birthday or my birthday or wedding day. Up there. The end of November we got married. Met her in the July, married her in the November of 72. Up there. Aye. That's about it, boys.
We used to have a manager who, I remember back a long time ago, somebody said, oh, we should really go to so-and-so's funeral, you know, and he said, oh, you really shouldn't. He said, because if you go to one, because we deal with such elderly people and there's such a quick turnover of passengers, he said you shouldn't. He said you shouldn't get attached. He said because A, you will get upset, and B, you wouldn't have the time to go to all these funerals. You know, we'd be short of drivers. But there are certain ones, and like even now, there are certain ones. If anything did happen, well, I just have to take a day off because you know you do get that attached. You just can't help it.
How often do you get the death?
It would probably average out at one a week, but what happens is you won't have anybody for a fortnight, and then all of a sudden 3 people will pass away on one particular weekend, you know, and that's how it goes. But if you average it out, I would say probably one a week.
You know, well, I've had 3 cancer operations and I've had a couple of heart attacks, but there's no good being miserable about it. It's not going to help, is it?
Hello, Bob. Hello.
Goodbye, everybody.
They're so brave, you know, it's amazing because they've got such nasty illnesses and they don't complain and they just get on with life. And some of them, as I say, look after themselves and they don't expect any help from anywhere, you know.
Oh, she likes having her arms put around her. Well,
So you thrill again of the week?
Well, it works both ways, Ben. I don't get to cuddle many people in the room. It's the type of life, isn't it?
It's okay.
Can I ask you that? That's you soon.
I take everything in my stride, no matter what it is. What will be, that's what I say.
Well, I might see you again in another 6 months. I'm still alive.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been nice talking to you.
Hello. You can all hear me. It's all right, yeah? Goodbye, Britain. Goodbye, Europe. So, alright, cool. Well, we're going to have a little 10-minute break. So, just a little comfort break, because we did run over a bit. I make it, alright. I make it 1:57. So